Saturday, March 6th. I'm enjoying a day off here. I'm off Saturday, Sunday, so I thought I'd throw out a blog here that may or may not be of interest. I'll talk about 20 years I've been in Japan, and I've operated an English conversation school since 1992, officially, with the signs hung and the lights on and everything. But basically, just about 20 years. And the market had changed quite a bit. I was in a little bit more urban area, and I did very well. And what was surprising is I didn't really have to try that hard. I made a nice classroom, and I ended up over the course of a year gathering about 55 students in my home. And when it got to the point where I would step out of the room I was teaching in, and I'd see the mothers waiting at my kitchen table, and I didn't know which mother belonged to which child, I thought, well, it's about time I go. This is too weird for where I live, so I better go rent a place. And so I rented an office, and before I knew it, I grew to 100 students. I soon bought a building, a 3-story building with housing accommodations for me on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and gutted out the 1st floor and made a first-class English school. And we got up to about 150 students. We were running full-time foreign teachers. We had Japanese grammar teachers. We were doing very well. We were bringing in about 100, what am I saying, 100? 1.5 million yen per month in tuition. Of course, a lot of that was going to the staff and the overhead, but we were doing very well. Money was not an issue at all. And circumstances that happened in 1997, namely me splitting up with my first wife, and that was basically her hometown, caused me to pull out of that. Had to leave that behind, start a new life in a different town. So that was about 11, 12 years ago. And it was short-lived success, but I stayed in business, in name only, and I began earning money, working for other people, working for universities, whatnot. But what was interesting is over the course of 20 years, I really saw how the English conversation business had changed. Basically, in the early 90s, foreign entrepreneurs like myself had a very good opportunity. A lot of us gained the trust of the Japanese community and were able to build very good schools. But also, there were many foreign entrepreneurs that were very arrogant about their success, and a lot of the problems now with the image of the English conversation industry can be attributed to my fellow compatriots or my fellow expats. A lot of them kind of just took the money and ran. They didn't really have long-term goals for their teaching. And the setup of when I was doing English conversation, what was very important is that they had a native speaker. Got to have a native speaker. They really weren't interested in having a Japanese, but we did have Japanese as assistants and teaching the grammar part. The test preparation for students trying to enter high school and junior high school. We used Japanese there. And we had the policy where the foreign teachers that worked for me and the Japanese teachers made the same amount of money. So most other schools weren't doing that. They were paying their Japanese teachers really low. And we were able to get very, very top-rated Japanese teachers, which were a better commercial for our school than our foreigners. And, that went on for a while. But as I had to start up again, the makeup or the organizational structure of most of the industry began to change. And I would go, and I actually had to work part-time for other people. So this was quite a big change for me. And I would notice that they would have a 1-hour block for kids, and 30 minutes would be with a Japanese teacher. And that Japanese teacher had very, very low qualifications. I mean, I don't think that they could even pass Eiken Nikyu. But yet, big name schools and established schools that had full classrooms of kids, and I'm talking 8 kids. Anytime you see a full classroom of 8 kids, well, at least that day is doing pretty well. But I mean, their Japanese teachers really didn't have that much qualification, and they'd spend 30 minutes with the Japanese, and the kids would either shift to the room next door with a foreign teacher, or else the teacher would shift or change every 30 minutes, and then they would run maybe 4 hours worth of classes that way. And I thought that was kind of a weird way to set up. And then I would go and I'd visit another school, and I'd get maybe a substitution job at another school, and every one of them was the same. So now it seems like the market has shifted, and the Japanese don't have trust, educational trust, in foreigners. And we had that for a brief time in the 90s, but right now I just don't see this type of trust that we have. And I noticed this in my own private school because, for example, my son, he's come of age, he's 26 years old, and we'll give instructions to the kids, and they basically ignore us. But when his wife, who's not a teacher, gives instructions, the workbook, done. It's just done, just like that. So it's like the Japanese tend to have overall trust in their own people. And it seems to me in hindsight that they gave us a chance and we blew it. And now, as I'm setting up my classes, I really have to include a Japanese assistant in there because that's what they want, and that's probably the only way I'm going to get the students. I guess they need to feel secure that if they do have questions, that they're going to be able to talk to someone that understands them, although I understand Japanese education much more than I understand American education. I've been here most of my adult life. So, I mean, that's changed quite a bit, but I think it's partially because of arrogance and I think we're paying for our sins of the 1990s, and it was a time of excess, and some people reinvested, and they're doing well. They're still in business after 20 years, but some people didn't. They took the money and ran, and now no one really trusts us, as far as a legitimate educational institution. And I'm very thankful for what little students I have, because those students are very loyal, and they do know me. They have taken the time to get to know me, and hopefully from those students, 20% of my 80% of my business will come from 20% of the students, and that's what I'm hoping for. So today I'm going off, and I have created new flyers. Looking for students. Wish me luck, okay? Talk later.